there is no question US will compete at Olympics. Stick to politics, Nikki Haley. And leave the US Olympians out of them while you're at it. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations caused a stir when she suggested that American athletes might skip the Pyeongchang Olympics because of tensions in North Korea. "It's an open question," Haley said Wednesday night in an interview with Fox News. "Except that's not true." U.S. Olympic Committee CEO Scott Blackmun said in September that the USOC will go after being assured of the athletes' safety by discussions with the State Department, local law enforcement and the four-star general who oversees American forces in South Korea. That position hasn't changed, USOC spokesman Mark Jones said Thursday. More, Nikki Haley, U.S. ambassador to UN, says it's an open question if U.S. athletes will compete in 2018 games. More, USOC says there have been no discussions about not taking teams to South Korea. "We have not had any discussions, either internally or with our government partners, about the possibility of not taking teams to the 2018 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games," U.S. Olympic Committee spokesman Mark Jones said Thursday. "We plan on supporting 2 full delegations in Pyeongchang." Why Haley made the comments she did isn't clear, though they did happen to come a day after the International Olympic Committee banned Russia from Pyeongchang because of a widespread, state-sponsored doping program. Russian athletes can still compete as independent athletes, but the Russian flag will not be seen and the Russian anthem will not be played at medal ceremonies. But Haley ought to know better. Yes, Pyeongchang is about 50 miles from the border with North Korea, which has world leaders on edge because of its increasingly aggressive nuclear tests and belligerent back and forth with President Donald Trump. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has made no threats against the Olympics, however, and the IOC has repeatedly said it is confident the games, and the athletes competing in them, will be safe. Not to diminish the tensions on the Korean peninsula, but the IOC has some experience with this. It held the Summer Games in Seoul in 1988, of course. But more recently, it has held Olympics in Salt Lake City, Athens and Sochi where terrorism was a very real threat. Salt Lake was the first games after 9/11. Athens was the first Summer Olympics after 9/11, and its proximity to the Middle East raised its vulnerability. Chechen rebels threatened to strike during Sochi, and police launched a massive manhunt for Black Widow suicide bombers a month before the games. Each of the games went off without any problems. The IOC might have issues, but security at the games is not one of them. It coordinates with every major law enforcement and intelligence agency in the world on its security plans, and spares no expense. Police and military personnel are a very visible presence in and around the Olympic Park and every venue, and there's plenty more that isn't visible. Add to that the security the USOC brings for the U.S. team, and the Olympics are often the safest place in the world to be. But that doesn't draw the headlines like fear-mongering. Olympians represent the best a nation has to offer, dedicated, hard-working athletes who are proud to represent their country. If Haley wants to score political points, they're the wrong people to use as her pawns. Follow USA Today sports columnist Nancy Armour on Twitter @NRARMOR.